So here's a recording about the blizzard of the 1st of March 2018, very classic. Started off with a sudden stratospheric warming, and as you can see from the NAO and AO charts here, it really went through the floor to -6 and -4 as regards the oscillation. The polar vortex absolutely obliterated. The red colours there right over the North Pole and completely shattered it, and it wasn't long before things began to change, and the 510 isotherm, a rare visitor to the UK, begins to cover it in an incredible way considering it's the 1st of March. Absolutely amazing to see this happen nearly at spring. So by the 23rd, the cold air begins to sweep across just around 4 degrees at the moment, with frosty nights, very slight penetrating frost. Nothing too much to look at, nothing too much there really at the moment. And by the 24th, we begin to see the high pressure strengthen over Scandinavia and further north, and slightly less cold on that day, but the cold air is just looming there to the east. By the 27th, the cold air, -10, had come through. -15 was touching the east coast. Further away, you can see -20, -25. Really cold for the end of February. And by the 28th, the last day of February, the cold air, very cold, biting winds, swept in with very low humidity and snow showers and 1,048 millibars over Scandinavia there. 1,056 to be absolutely sure by the Met Office charts there. And it's a midday run on the 28th. As you can see, absolutely walloping us with cold weather. And Storm Emma, as it's been named, began to show itself down on the south coast. And a great weather warning was set up for South Devon and South Wales. We have a red, so that was quite amazing. And you know, it really began on the 28th really. So where we see at the 28th at place of work, incredibly cold day, heavy snow showers with strong winds, and with the dust blowing off the roofs. It really was completely blizzard dust and whiteout conditions. And as I say, this was an east-southeasterly wind blowing in obviously from the English Channel, and it was very cold, high wind chill, low humidity, incredible day. In fact, the humidity, the dew point, I recorded as low of -19. That's how dry and dusty the atmosphere was, nothing sticking to any trees. And then we head on off into Shipley Bridge on South Dartmoor, and here we have terrific icicles forming. Again, -7 degrees here in the morning, and snow blowing everywhere, snow dust, extremely cold weather. And bearing in mind, this is now the 1st of March. And as you can see there, the snow dust is just blowing around. There was no mercy. It was getting in everywhere. And at the top of the hill here where I live, you can see the snow dust blowing across the fields. This was just the first dusting before Storm Emma kicked in. And the incredible thing is about this storm is that the snow dust went through every single crevice you could imagine. If it was the size of a needle, it got through, but it did not stick to the trees or anything like that. It was just too dry, the air. And by 1 o'clock, it was beginning to snow heavy. It was still -4 degrees, and this is the 1st of March. Absolutely amazing. And the snow was really coming down, seriously heavy. And then later in the afternoon, as you can see the snow blowing off the house over there, the snow began to get heavier. And this is down in the village I live, or the hamlet. It was just blowing everywhere, real dust blowing off the roofs here on the right hand side. The snow wasn't heavy in flake size, but it was more intense in small granules, which is different to sometimes. I think the other thing to note is, although this was a good blizzard and a good snow event, it's not the worst we've ever had here. In fact, the second blizzard later on was the worst one in the middle of March, but pretty good still. On the morning, on the 2nd, freezing rain in the night, hammered the windows, couldn't see through, everything was coated, still below freezing, and there was over an inch or more of ice on all the branches, twigs around. In fact, it looked like the whole, as you're walking up the road, it was just like a bomb site of shards that looked like glass all over the roads as the wind snapped off the various ice rime on the trees and twigs. Again, snowdrifts not dramatic, not fantastic really. It's more the fact of the freezing rain that was quite an experience, probably the worst since 1981. And this was about 850 feet up, 800 feet. It really got hammered on the hill here below Brent Hill. Power cuts, of course, with it, and with it a faithful generator at the back that we have for such times. Can go on 8 hours worth of a fill, 1 gallon, 2 kilowatt, and sufficiently powered TV and Wi-Fi, a light, fridge, necessary things, and we just cooked on colour gas in betweens. It was pretty good, really, pretty good. And then, as you can see, the lumps of snow ice that were formed, probably 30 millimeters thick, and in the background you can see all the trees and roofs covered in ice. And outside this house here, snow was just piled up where I dug the car out the way. It was quite an amazing experience. Pretty awesome and pretty amazing. A few statistics. I mean, you can't quite see it from me as I'm reading this out, but Brent Hill was -8 degrees. That's 1,000 feet above sea level. With 29 or 30 mile winds, extremely cold on the 28th. And a few records here. Basically from the 22nd to the 28th, 5.3, 3.8, 4.6 and 4.6 again, 1.3, 1.8, -1.6 on the 28th, -0.4 on the 1st, on the 2nd 3.3, and on the 3rd 5.9. We recorded a low of -6.5 to -6.8 down at 470 feet above sea level. The river temperature was 2 degrees, 2.8 rather, and tap water, believe it or not, was 2 degrees. Soil temperature got down to 0.3. We had a wind of 39.8 miles an hour on Brent Hill with an equivalent of -20 centigrade chill factor. It was a very, very cold spell of weather without a doubt. Pretty amazing. So yeah, not much more to say really. A few facts and figures here. As you can see, Brent Hill -7.8, -8, maximum -3.4.